All yours.
Hello and welcome to the NORA broadcast booth for the GT4 Sim series from Watkins, Glen. Brought to you today by Nightmare Incorporated's newest sponsor, Burger King. Nah,
Have it your way.
but exactly, home of the Whopper. No, we are here finally for our third race in the GT4 series. They had a week off, and by a week I mean 3. I think I'm not sure. There were some technical issues that were going on with the AI on the oval side, and we wanted to kind of keep them on par with one another. So we decided to just kind of hold off, and we're back now. We have a full week's worth of racing once more. The third time this year that we'll have a full week's worth with all 4 series. But the first time this year where all 4 series aren't at the same track. Isn't that right, Josh?
That is correct. I believe, even though technically I guess they were at the road course, we had everybody at Daytona, and then we had everybody on the same track, same configuration, the whole 9 being Sebring. So, yeah, you are correct.
We are here at Watkins Glen for the GT4s. And the Trucks, Cup, and Xfinity are all at Kentucky. And boy, let me tell you what, we are here for the GT4s. I can't wait for me some Trucks and Xfinity because those tests for all 3 series at Kentucky have been very, very interesting.
I think it'd be safe to say, not your typical AI.
Nope. And I like it. So, as it goes for our current practice, we got Jackie Hicks leading Colin McRae and Tanner Faust. Chad Reed over, and that's your top 5.
Right.
The ticker is a lot slower than it used to be. And that's a good thing, though. I want to thank Alex for that adjustment.
Very
good adjustment.
It has been a while, but looking back, your point leader, and I believe the opening round winner, Daytona, correct me if I'm wrong, but it would be Niki Lauda.
Correct.
After the controversial finish to open the season.
Between one Mick Schumacher and I believe it was Jackie Hicks.
I believe so, yes.
As I finally put away that big stacker king. Yeah, I believe it was. But I believe it was a contact between Mick Schumacher and Jackie Hicks that resulted in the 2 of them wrecking. I believe Mick Schumacher got it going in that result, and Kimi Räikkönen got caught up in that too.
Yeah, and I think because I was actually looking during last night's kind of happy hour final test. I believe Mick got it going. I think finished 6th or so. And then I think Kimi, got last points in 10th maybe.
No, Kimi didn't get any points.
Missed points, okay.
Yep.
And then, say, not last week, but I think it's, like I said, I think we said for the Cup and stuff, I think it's been almost a month. But, yeah, Kimi rebounded and got his win at Sebring.
Absolutely. But it's not really looking like this is going to be the Nightmare Incorporated Cars track this year.
Well, anything can happen.
At least, yeah, and it's at least looking that way in practice. Now, obviously, practice and the race are 2 totally different things. And even practice and qualifying are going to be completely different. Because these guys won't be obstructed on their qualifying laps.
And I'm trying to go to our... the session leader, but for some reason, I
I
click
don't
on
believe he's on
first.
track, maybe.
Well, I'll click on his name on ATVO, and as you can see, it's popping up random people.
Is he grayed out on
And
there?
it says Kimmy's in.
Well, there might be a reason for that.
Is there a new development that we missed?
I'm not sure, but
I would
it's
say
kind of
yes.
looking like the new development is Kimi Räikkönen sets quick time.
Oh, they're
Nope,
wrecking!
Tanner Faust just set quick time. Oh,
Hello.
and just as quickly as Kimi Räikkönen went quick time, Tanner Faust said, "I will go quick time."
So I think my timing stream actually froze because I was trying to scroll and do all that stuff. Yep, there we go. And it wasn't highlighting anybody new. It wasn't doing anything. So when I clicking on at the time X quick time, it was showing, like I said, the random people. And then I scrolled up and it didn't scroll, but then it let me click on first. So yes, now that I'm caught up on my timing scoring screen, Tanner Faust is your quick time.
Yay, technical difficulties.
Kimi Räikkönen second, 1 point behind, I believe, Niki Lauda, correct? Is what we said?
Correct. Yes, a singular point. Had Kimi scored even 1 point at Daytona, he would have been at least tied. Had he scored 2 points at Daytona with just an 8th or 9th place finish, he'd be your points leader, but not the case.
Well, interesting, you know, obviously NASCAR stuff, you have your stages, you have, you know, all the extra points per se, but, you know, when it comes to the GT4 stuff and, you know, the roadside, I guess you could kind of say it's a Formula One style, you know, point format, because I believe it's, what have we been
25
doing?
to the winner,
Yeah, yep.
and then so on and so on down until 10th place gets 1 point.
And then
And
fastest
then
lap is a
everybody else
bonus point
gets.
too.
Yep. Now, we've been awarding that willy-nilly. Just, you know, oh, you got the fastest lap, you get a point. Now, in real life, you only get that point if you score in the top 10. But
Correct.
because we've been awarding it the way we have been, we will continue to award it that way. We will not make that change in season.
But looking at
otherwise,
points,
we'd have to take it away from whoever's already scored it.
Well, yeah, but believe it or not, actually, well, not really believe it or not, it's 25 points, but your two winners so far, Lauda and Räikkönen, 1-2 in points as well. Lauda, like we said, 27 points. Kimi, 1 behind with 26. And
now, that's only a product of his fast lap at Daytona.
Third in points.
It's a lot further back. It's not really much further back. It's 4 points off the lead. It's Ayrton Senna in the 12th car.
But 21st in time right now.
Oof.
Which, like you said, you know, qualifying's different. You know, he may have built up on his laps and such, but I mean, if you're going off strictly time, I mean, you got your point leader in 9th, second in points is 3rd, and even 4th, Brian O'Connor, who's only 1 point behind Senna, sits in 8th, and 5th place Mick Schumacher sits in 6th.
Yep. So we'll see how things play out. I'm not even sure of the results from our last race, so I'm gonna see if I can pull that up real quick.
It would be Kimi Räikkönen, newcomer Tanner Faust, newcomer Chad Reed, Mick Schumacher, and then another newcomer Colin McRae was your top 5, followed by Senna, Ix, O'Connor, Lauda, and Franchitti, your top 10.
Yep. And Franchitti being the one that got a singular point. So good on him.
So.
And we had, I think, a couple guys DNF out of that race too. It's going to be interesting to see if the same happens again here.
We did, I believe. Looking at this, I want to say we actually had a couple because, not to knock the guy, but SpongeBob is arguably our worst driver in all series. And
he's kind of the barometer of. Yeah, he's kind of the barometer of if somebody DNF, they usually finish behind him.
Yeah, and he was 30th, so I would say Danny Rick, Kevin Roy, Hans Landa, Alexander Rossi, Lord Voldemort, and Lewis Hamilton were your 6 DNFs last time we ran.
So, like I said, it will be interesting to see what happens going down into turn 1.
Absolutely. I mean, that's, and I mentioned it, I guess you can kind of say pre-race before we went on the air. Happy hour last night, kind of a little different, you know, track obviously way cooler because it was ran at nighttime. These guys a different perspective of the track and whatnot, but They went out and coming off of turn one, Lando Norris went for a wild ride. I would say probably the toughest ride I've seen all season so far, and that team had to get the backup car out for him. So first time we've seen a backup car in use this season, I would say.
Yeah, and let's add in. This is for those of you that are NASCAR fans. This is not the typical layout you're used to.
That is correct.
It is, of course, the same old Watkins Glen International, but this is the boot layout. This is the sports car layout, if you would, the Formula One, the IndyCar. This is the type of course that they're going to run. I think there was a rumor that NASCAR was thinking about it years ago, about maybe trying it. I don't think it ever came to any real fruition of anybody trying it or doing anything with a cup car, but yeah, the boot, it's just a little bit longer, a couple extra turns. There's not really a lot to it that's different, other than, that little section that starts, right after this corner. Instead of continuing to make this right-hander, right about here, you want to start straightening it out, and there you go. Instead of continuing right, go straight and dive down into this section.
Which, real quick, I know we were mentioning like happy hour last night, and I mentioned the cooler tracks. I believe it was like 70 some degrees, which looking right now, yeah, you're almost 30 degrees warmer at 98. Probably the best best wind we've seen out of every series so far. Only at 6 mile an hour, 7.
What month did you accidentally set this in?
It is February.
There is no way it is 81 degrees in February in New York.
Well, this was also iRacing's weather. This was not mine.
Okay. I was going to say, there ain't no way you used real world weather for that one.
Yeah, this is part of the reason, which I don't think I've ever told you this, but this is part of the reason why I pull our own weather for our races, because through the beta, you have a generate weather option, which I'm sure you're aware of.
Oh, yeah.
Which, by the way, only one lap for this.
Yeah.
So this will be your money lap. But we used that at the beginning of last season, and we noticed the same thing for Daytona. We would be whatever day, February 20th, for example. And we would do generate weather, and it was always overcast, no matter what track, Vegas, Phoenix, Daytona, whatever. And it was always way different than what we saw. So like for Daytona in February, obviously I'm sure you can attest to this, it's normally maybe high 60, low 70, especially at nighttime. We ran our truck opener.
It was 82 degrees yesterday, so...
Well, so for instance, for our truck opener, though, I think it was only 60-something.
Yeah, it sounds about right. We had our little snap freeze there for a little bit. And I say snap freeze, but it's not really a snap freeze.
And it was just the same thing last year. Like, we ran the opener, and I was looking at the weather, and it's saying, like 65. We get in the sim, and it's saying 80, and the track temp's, 110. Yep. Or we go to Vegas, and I look at the weather, and it says it's 87. We get in the sim, and or 87 and sunny. We get in the sim, and it's overcast 71 with a cold track. So, which again, you're seeing here, like you said, you don't think it's 81 in New York in middle.
Oh, I could guarantee you, probably.
Right. So, this is, again, obviously why, when it comes to the real series, why we no longer let iRacing cover our weather.
Mm-hmm. Something that also I want to bring up. I happened to be on the forums the other day, just kind of scrolling through. I was bored, decided, I'm going to look at this. And I find myself on the AI forums, and the page talking about, green, white checkers and the ARCA car and the getting the rest of the NASCAR courses and so on for AI. And I don't remember which admin, but it was definitely one of the admins for iRacing, decides to comment in that post with the exact words, and I quote, "I think you guys are really going to like this next update." So, I have no clue what that means, but I am now really looking forward to the AI content for the update.
So, not to cut you off, but I know you will be ecstatic about this. Your point leader sits third. Your boy came to play.
This man. I said it. I think I said it at Sebring, because Sebring was where he finally got to his 100. He wasn't 100 overall going into Sebring, and he won the race. And I was like, everybody should be afraid now. This man is out here kicking y'all's ass like 4 points down on you, skill wise, and now he's the same level as you. If I think the man might be better at this point, and sure enough, another pole for Kimi Räikkönen, his third of the season.
Maybe he may have swept it all.
I think it's his third of the season.
We talked about your points coming in. So Niki Lauda, obviously your point leader, is going to start third. So basically right behind Kimi, give or take, the best spot arguably that you could be, besides obviously second. As BMW actually sweeps the podium right now from qualifying, but Lauda third, Kimi on the pole, Senna back in 9th, Brian O'Connor 8th, and Mick Schumacher 7th.
By the way, I can confirm, nobody has beaten Kimi Räikkönen to first in qualifying this season.
So this will be
the man is 3 for 3.
But we saw at Daytona though, which again he wasn't his 100, but starts are everything. You'll see a lot of moving and shaking. If he can get a good start, obviously it's different. But as we will go ahead and roll up the grid real quick while these guys get ready to get on the grid. But as mentioned, Kimi Räikkönen showing he is a master qualifying so far, sweeping every pole in the GT4 series. Round 3, third pole. Jackie X will line up to his left, I believe here, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Niki Lauda
our right, his left.
In third. Tanner Faust 4th, Chad Reed 5th, Colin McRae 6th. So I believe it's 3 teammates actually right there. Second race for them in the series. Mick Schumacher going to be 7th. Brian O'Connor 8th. Ayrton Senna 9th. Nick Boulay 10th.
You got James Hunt rolling off 11th. Alexander Rossi in 12th. Juan Pablo Montoya in 13th. Scott Dixon 14th. The old man Schumacher 15th. 16th is Dario Franchitti. In 17th, we see Takumi Fujiwara. Still don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. 18th is Jan Magnussen. 19th is Lord Voldemort. 20th is Ken Block.
21st, Darth Vader. Should have used more of the Force on that one. 22nd, Fernando Alonso. 23rd, Lewis Hamilton. 24th, George Russell. 25th, K-Mag, Kevin Magnussen. 26th, after I had mentioned his little bit of a ride last night in the backup car, Lando Norris. 27th, Mark Winter
Frosty.
28th, Colin Braun. 29th, old Super Max Verstappen. 30th, Ramsey Bolton.
31st, Hans Landa. In 32nd, we got old Kevin Roy. In 33rd is Oscar Golderson. I'm still thinking I am correct on that one. Danny Rick starts from 34th. Oh, Ricky Bobby. 35th is Mike Roch, and 36th is SpongeBob SquarePants.
So I know you had mentioned it kind of, as I'll go ahead and jump in and we can get rolling, but I know you had mentioned you think this is more of a Porsche track, but like I said, top 3, all BMWs.
Yep, and it's certainly a lot different than I was expecting.
As we get ready for the 5 red lights for round number 3 of the GT4 series, and we're underway from Watkins Glen.
And Kimi Räikkönen gets what looks like a pretty decent start. He's going to be able to get all the way to the outside and block Jackie X, but I don't know that, well, it is going to work out. But here comes Niki Lauda to the inside of Tanner Faust, but Tanner Faust is going to hold strong on the outside. They're going to go into the S's, and I think Tanner's going to have the advantage going through the S's.
Yeah, through the S's for the first time. I hear Carnage in the back. See if I can find it. And there might have just been some contact coming through the S's. It looks like everybody made it through clean. Yes, they did.
Yeah.
As it is a cluster about mid-pack.
And Kimi Räikkönen immediately on the defensive into the bus stop. He's going to continue to hold on. And Mick Schumacher up to 7th. Oh, he gets a little bit slideways through the bus stop.
This will be the time to make all your moves. And we said most of the time you see the starts, a lot of moving and shaking. I would argue, I don't think anybody actually gained or lost positions, at least in the front few. But as you can see already, the top 5 starting to break away with Kimi leading that train.
Yeah, and this certainly is not where you want to be if you are Mick Schumacher. He has now lost a position. And I said it. I will stand by this statement. It is not looking good for the field that Kimi Räikkönen has gotten to a 100.
And we argued in the beginning, even with him being, I think it was a 98 maybe, that even then, depending on the track, and then I had kind of started to say a little bit more recent here, I think it depends on, your corner speed. It seemed like the Porsche were better, kind of, I guess you could say, in the heavy braking zones and kind of the slower corners, whereas the BMW, again, from what we can tell, is better more at tracks like this or Daytona, for say.
With the straight line speed, I think they have it.
Yeah, because, for instance, every time we did a test between, say, Daytona and Interlagos, which I believe is where we go for round 4, Daytona, you had your BMW up front. And most of the time it was Kimi or, Ix, or I think even Lauda. But, we went to Interlagos. Kimi was still there, but that's where you'd see, Mick and your Porsches kind of step their game up for, say, and offer more of a challenge.
Yeah, and usually pretty much every time we did a test at Interlagos, it would be Kimi up in like the top 5, and that'd be it for the BMWs. The next one might be in 10th or 11th. So it's something to do with Kimi's attributes. I'm not really sure what it is. There's a little bit of contact between Frosty and Norris, and Norris ends up out in the beach.
I believe it was Jan, actually.
It was Jan, correct. I can't remember which car is which, to be fair here. I believe that's Frosty there doing the traffic break in front of Verstappen.
Well, they kind of just went for the same real estate. I mean, obviously not intentional, but glad Lando got it woed up, kept it out of the tire barrier there, and was able to get it rolling out of the sand pit, because I know from real life that gets kind of sketchy, as he's going to try and get back around SpongeBob SquarePants.
And does so with absolute ease.
Hate it for the guy, but I'd say he's one of the easier ones to pass.
Yeah, and I don't know that he's been lapped yet, except for maybe at Daytona, which has been very incredible, honestly. As Mick Schumacher is going to actually, I think, help Ayrton Senna try and get around. I'm not sure who that is.
Be Chad Reed, I believe.
Okay. But Chad Reed is able to hold off Ayrton Senna, and now Mick Schumacher just going to continue to run. I will say this, Watkins Glen only really has about 2 passing zones. 3 on the boot, really. Certainly this is one of them, for sure, going down into 1.
Real quick, not to cut you off, I have a quick phone call I have to take, so I will leave you with this.
10-4. So you have the braking zone going into 1. That's a very good passing opportunity. And then we have an excellent passing opportunity coming up here as we get to the bus stop. And you can just see on that shot, Kimi Räikkönen continues to just put it on. This is a showing, if you would. I don't really know if you call it a showing, a domination. I mean, it's only 3 laps, and this man is just gapping the field. So there's not a lot to really cover with him, other than it's just looks like it's easy over Jackie Ickx, Tanner Faust. It's not like either of those drivers are bad drivers, or even Niki Lauda. You can see they're kind of the 3 of them are getting just ever so slightly a little bit of a gap over Colin McRae. It's not a lot, but it is growing slightly. And then it's incredible to see that Kimi's just clear out in front of these guys. Certainly, I don't know if it's the car. He's certainly the only one of the Nightmare guys that's out front that far. I mean, obviously it's the driver. It's just the Iceman himself. We're going to start calling him Rocket Man as well, because he's on the pole all the time. Certainly Some great racing overall from throughout the field, really. As my cat decides to be mouthy. We do have some battles going on throughout the field. It looks like Lewis Hamilton and Jan Magnussen are battling back here. Frosty was battling with, I believe that was George Russell in front of Lewis. It's some good racing throughout the field, honestly, and certainly kind of further back in the field, you get a little bit more of stack ups. You get a little bit more chances to make those passes. As Michael Schumacher, I think, is on the receiving end of a pass. That kind of looked like. Really sure we got around him.
All right. Yep. Michael did make the pass. Sorry.
Made the pass. It looked like he got past.
Possibly. I thought on the time of scoring he was 16th, but you could be right.
Huh?
Either way, there was action.
Yes, there has been action all over the racing track, with the exception of for the lead.
Yeah.
That man is pretty much gone already. And I'm seeing on the timing and scoring, SpongeBob SquarePants is out.
I think he done blowed it up. Or hit the wall. He's already off the pace.
He's off the pace.
We're going to go back a far away. Oh!
Oh!
SpongeBob, what'd you do?
I'm now glad I caught this. Oh boy. Because we right along with the helmet cam. And he goes
there's a corner there, bud.
To one and just decides, I don't like it.
So,
okay then.
We've talked about this as far as the AI and cautions and such. This is the first time
I've ever seen that.
I know this was a brake failure back then. This is the first time I've seen somebody ever Jimmy Johnson turn one. To an extent.
Yeah, he certainly didn't Jimmy Johnson as bad as Jimmy Johnson did. What?
But he just never hit out on the brakes. It's like, there's a corner here. Last second.
Okay then. I don't know what I've seen there. And he limped it around a pit road, so we can't disqualify him.
I was gonna say, despite the hit, he's the first one we've also seen drive away from an accident to not get disqualified.
What the hell is going on?
Gotta give it to them. They must breed them different down under the sea there in Bikini Bottom.
Absolutely. As it does look like Ix now has kind of gapped Tanner Faust.
Yeah, they're all kind of even. Kimmy's got 1.7 over Ix, and Ix 1.5 over Tanner, but yeah, they're all rather even. As I believe Fernando made the pass here. And I would have to agree because now Ken Block is trying to make his way through.
And I think Frosty might have just made a pass.
Nick Boulay.
Yep. As they either made a pass or he hit a really great defense. I'm not sure which it was. Now he's on the attack of Ken Block's bumper. Yes, Kevin Block.
And I know, again, I was on track. I'll just call it this morning, but turning laps in my team's Porsche, the owner's Porsche, we'll call it. I was getting 12 laps on a tank. I think it was like 12, 13. I think it was like 12.8 or something. So
but
keep an eye on that.
Either way, we know that that's going to equate to 2 pit stops.
If the number's right, yes, because we noticed, I think it was the Cup race last week, the number was off by a good bit.
I think the last time you might have been in a Xfinity car.
Okay, something like that.
It doesn't seem right that it would be that far off for one car.
I thought we were going to be 3 wide for a second.
They thought about it.
So Connor and Mick giving Nicky Lauda, your point leader, the most pressure I'm sure he's seen in a long time.
And they want pass as bad as they can. And I believe Colin McRae's around Nicky Lauda too.
Yeah, McRae did get by. So, yep, because it was two BMWs, the Porsche, and then the other BMW. But now you got two, and then the BMW of Lauda being your top 5. So, you know, the most even split you'll see as far as manufacturers concerned in the top 5. But yeah, if they pit on lap 12, I would, like you said, 2 pit stops. But you're also halfway to your first pit stop at this point.
And this is the series where I think we wish that they could go further on a tank of gas than we allow them. But if they do, then only get 1 pit stop, or we don't get any pit stops. And the downside to having them on this shorter fuel cell, essentially, is that they all kind of pit together.
Yeah, but then it also, you know, comes down to, you know, we talk about on the oval side, you know, green flag pit stops, the whole 9. Your pit crew. I think it was Daytona. We saw Kimi just about dominate that first, you know, little bit until pit stops. Then I think he went from like 1st to 4th, I want to say. Got back to, I think, 2nd, and I believe Lauda leading, if I'm wrong, or maybe Senna. They pitted.
Sounds accurate.
And then he came out, I think, like 10th or so, 8th, something like that.
Sounds about right.
Then I think last week we saw, I believe it was Mick running 2nd. It seemed like he was the only one really able to keep pace with Kimi, and then his pit crew let him down.
So who's going to let their driver down this week?
I would argue it could be a couple. You know, these guys have, you know, I'm sure they've been practicing it back at the shops and stuff, but it's been about a month since they've seen actual on-track action. You know, the pressure of trying to, you know, get it done efficiently and not make mistakes. So you could see a couple guys lose a lot of time. You could see a couple guys gain a lot of time.
Well, I know the boys at Nightmare got an ass chewing at Daytona. I'm not sure that they want that again. They certainly didn't want it after Sebring because they gave Kimi 2 perfect pit stops. But we'll have to wait and see for these pit stops.
And we talk about it too, you know, the teams and the drivers, stuff like that. But something a little bit smaller that, you know, we do kind of for the fun of it, basically, you know, your manufacturer standings. BMW have swept both races so far. Obviously with Lauda at Daytona and then Kimi at Sebring, they're undefeated right now in this series. So I know Porsche, anybody, you know, Porsche is trying to get, you know, their first victory in the series and build a strong case to kind of keep them in the series for season 2 down the road.
Well, can we talk about the fact that I think, with the Homestead victory by Jenkins, the Xfinity Series did too. But how about the Chevys in the Cup Series as well? Same thing.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that. Weather plays a factor in races, obviously, and I think we had a snub for a victory for as far as the Ford guys are concerned. But hey, take what we can get. It's a good points day, needed it, but just got to come out and try and dominate.
Kick some ass in Kentucky.
Yeah, which, like we said, looking forward to that. You know, from what I've seen from the Cup guys. It'll be a different experience for sure. As George Russell completes the pass on Fernando.
The truck guys, kind of the same boat there. I've been doing the tests of that. They have been a real treat to watch.
But that's what we look for. You know, we want excitement. We want, you know, not to spoil it, but we want cautions, obviously, because that'll add to the strategy. You know, I think we saw it. I believe it was actually the Cup race we're talking about. You know, they had to pit, I think, about 10 to go in the stage, so we were wondering if they would pit again and kind of not really screw themselves for stage 2, but somewhat screw themselves because obviously they pitted a little bit sooner. But we saw most everybody come back down pit road. So you got to figure, obviously they don't know about stages, so if you're dominating the race and there's a caution, say halfway through the stage, you pit, and then you stage break comes out and you stay out, or, you know, you pit again from the lead or whatever the case may be, it just opens up that much more strategy that we could potentially start to see.
Well, and I believe, I can't remember if it was the Cup or the Xfinity race. I think it was the Cup race, because I don't think we had any cautions really in the Xfinity race.
Correct.
But one of the cautions resulted in drivers staying out, and we were questioning if they were going to make it on fuel.
Yes.
I believe that was the Cup race, and it was an interesting moment. Nobody really expected us to be sitting there going, "Man, can these guys fuel save enough?" Like what? What are we talking about? Saving fuel now with the AI? I mean, it was nuts. So we learn things every day with the AI. Like I said, I'm really excited about the prospect that apparently we're really going to like the new build with the AI. We'll have to see on that.
Just real quick, checking on Lando, obviously with his off track, he's back up to 31st, trying to get around Kevin Rory for 30th. But no, I mentioned it. I believe it was at SpongeBob's actually right in front of these guys. That'll be interesting as they try and get around him. But no, I touched on it. I think mainly it was at Daytona. Obviously AI, not necessarily new, but it is relatively new to the iRacing service, and arguably, I'll use this word very loosely, but it's bland. You kind of have your one line. You might see a couple guys venture out. I know Kentucky, like you said, from the tests and stuff that I've done, and then I know you've talked about as well with the truck guys, kind of covering all that. As far as variety, it's probably the best we've seen.
Well, I've seen in a couple other tests, Kansas provides good. It's like the D-shaped mile and a halves. Kansas, Kentucky, so on, and even Charlotte. Really, I've done a couple tests. Charlotte has put on some great racing that I wasn't prepared for. I was like, you run Charlotte, you be on the bottom line the whole time. It's not going to be any fun. It's been fun to watch a couple of the races that I've done in Charlotte. So I'm looking forward somewhat to that race when we get to it. I'm not looking forward to the distance in the Cup Series, but at least it should be good racing for 600 or 400 laps.
Absolutely, but and then and like I said, I touched on it a lot at Daytona, and like I said, it is bland. It's AI. We can't control what happens and whatnot. But I also said too, I think the more it's out and the more it's developed and the more they work on it, it'll get better. And I think, obviously, I haven't read the forum post that you're talking about, but I would say from that post, I know you had mentioned ARCA and a couple other different cars and such. I'm sure a couple different tracks. But every update, they tweak the AI here and there. They, try and make it quote unquote better, which obviously in turn helps us as well.
Yeah, for instance, when AI first came out, and you took them to the super speedway in Cup cars, it was 3 wide and nobody could pass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you started, I'll say 1st to 5th, you would have ran there all race.
Yeah. Which kind of sucked. Now, they'll go 3 wide, but they won't run like that for the whole race. They can't, and they'll wreck. And it has improved, and each update improves. And I think the change that, if it is in, that I'm most looking forward to is green, white checkers.
Yes, because I think it would have changed our truck race, I believe.
At Daytona.
Yeah, well, yeah. Daytona is more so what I was talking about, but yes.
Yeah, I don't think it would have changed Sebring because I think they had. I don't think they had a caution at the end of the race.
Not to alarm you, but Ix and Faust are putting in burners right now.
Well, they can do what they want. No, I love seeing it. Okay,
that one's
wheel,
not gonna buff out, Chief.
Yeah, that wheel was not in a proper position.
So that's gonna be a toe. So I'm just gonna do this right now because he's already toe.
So I'm wondering what happened there then.
There's nobody behind him, so unless he got sideways, well, this could be it. Defensive move gone wrong.
That's it. Oh my word! And Dario goes for a ride. Oh my word!
So that answers that question.
That might be the most violent wreck I've personally seen in these cars. I don't know. I don't know if it tops that Lando Norris incident you saw, but that certainly takes the cake for me.
Yes, I would argue, the best one you've seen. The Lando one, no. That was probably the most violent one I think I'll see all season, if I'm going to be honest.
Probably.
My man started rolling probably right where, as here they come for pit stops.
This is, about lap 12.
But no, Lando was arguably, as I picked the wrong camera,
No, it was the right camera.
started flipping uh, about where he finished, because that's about where the initial contact was made, as everybody's on pit road, so here we go. And then stopped about, like I said, the bottom of the S's, so.
Good lord.
Yeah.
So let's see who gets out first. They got to fill the tank. It's only 25% of a full tank. And,
Which I believe was 6 gallons.
Yep, so we'll see.
But we now know this will definitely be 2 pit stops, because they actually came out on lap 11, not 12, so.
And I'm waiting to see, because this is also, I think, tires. Maybe.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I can't see
Gotta
6
jump.
gallons of fuel, and my word, what a pit stop for Kimmy, and what a mistake for Jackie Ickx's team.
Yeah, Ix actually fell to 4th, as we will pull up the pit box times. Yeah, Kimmy had a 29.4, Faust a 30.8. Your new 3rd place, Colin McRae, 29.1. Ix with a 36.1. You got Mick now in the top 5 with a 29.1. Lauda 28.7. Brian O'Connor, a big loser, 32 seconds. Senna with a 29.9. Rossi with a 29.0. Actually, Danny Rick stayed out.
Interesting. He's got to pit this time.
He's the only one to stay out. As actually, I lied. We had a couple guys pit a lap sooner, according to timing and scoring, because all your leaders are on a 0 stint, and they just pitted. And back in 18th, George Russell says he's on 1 lap, so looks like him, old Frosty, Max, K-Mags, Colin Braun, Ramsey Bolton, Lando, Kevin Roy, Galderson, Mike Roch, and Hans Landa all pitted 1 lap ago.
And it looks like it hasn't benefited them as much as I think they would have hoped.
But as far as pit stops are concerned,
Danny Rick is got to be scraping the barrel here on fuel.
Seems like the 28.7, 28.6.
As I have to question, is he maybe just trying to survive back to pit road? He is so slow.
So best pit stop, 28.6 by James Hunt in 13th. But as far as your front runners, it would be the 28.7 by Niki Lauda. And then the worst pit stop, obviously Brian O'Connor.
And here comes Ricky Bobby. And by Ricky Bobby, I mean Danny Rick.
Is he? I forgot. Yes, he's at one of the back pit stalls. So.
That was an interesting move there. I don't know that he was so slow there at the end of that lap. I don't know that I would want to go 12 full laps there.
So best lap right now with that bonus point, from what I can tell, would be Colin McRae, 155.342.
Hey, that bonus point can really make a difference sometimes. It may not seem like a lot, but
you can tell the two. Obviously, Tanner and Colin, yes, while they jumped, I believe it was Ix for second, lost ground. I mean, Tanner, I believe, was 3rd before pit stops. They were closing in, had it under a second, I believe, or second and a half. He is now 2.4 back. McRae 4.2, and Ix 7.3 back. So this is not what Mick Schumacher and Lauda want to do, but hey, trying to run the leader down. I guess if he's too far out, you battle for your own positions and make it fun. But I like we were mentioning though before pit stops. I think the longer we kind of stick with this, I think it'll get better. Even the GT4 aspect, and then obviously the oval stuff too. I mean, I think it'd be a lot to add, say, a NARCA series too, especially with our normal stuff going on. But
Well, certainly wouldn't be something we would do probably this season.
well, yes. But again, like I said, though, that shows too that yes, they're adding more cars, but with that also comes more tracks, more stuff like that. And then obviously, like I said, just the development of the AI, their skills and their differentiating strategies and stuff like that. So, like today, I apparently missed it, but we had all those guys pit 1 lap sooner. The leaders came in the next lap, and then Danny Rick stayed out another lap.
Absolutely, and what I most want to see is the rest of the NASCAR tracks. Being able to go to all of the tracks that they go to. Oh, we have contact back here.
And Senna just broke his left front.
I was to say, did he break something? That certainly looked like it.
That's going to end his day. I think
that's going to be a tow. Yeah, that's definitely a tow.
Quite long one, but yep, there it is.
And now to go back and see what just happened there, as we got a nice sign of the NASCAR Cup Series sign. Oh, that was a great moment.
I think he just got aggressive.
And ran out of talent.
And you can see it, just locked that left front up.
Well, that is not attached properly anymore either. That is a lot further out than it's supposed to be.
Everything looks good. He goes for the pass. He just he overdrove the entry.
Yeah. You hate to say the words ran out of talent for Ayrton Senna, but I mean, it's about what it was.
And you can see it right here from Rossi. He just overshot the entry, washed right up into O'Connor.
And then decided to come back down the track and almost clipped Rossi.
O'Connor's still out there, though, hanging on, so...
Yeah, that could have been very scary for Rossi. Had he been just about a half seconds behind on that one, Senna looked like he was going to come down no matter what there. And that would have been nose indoor contact for Rossi.
Excusez-moi. So, big note here. We will have a new podium in points. Senna was sitting third, 4 out of the lead.
He gets no points.
And he won't even get fast laps. Like I said, it's a 155.3 right now, I believe. Yeah, and he was a 155.9. So.
And he's of course out of the race. So it's now between a tie between Brian O'Connor and Mick Schumacher for fourth. But I believe right now that's going to Mick Schumacher.
Yeah, O'Connor actually losing touch with Schumacher and Lauda, which again, you would assume obviously he hasn't come into the pits yet for that damage, but you got to know that car isn't up to par.
It's got to be somewhat okay, because I don't think he would stay out there if there was any kind of mechanical damage, but I mean, it honestly, it doesn't even look that bad. It looked like it did just... I don't know if the axles or the suspension on these cars are made out of paper mache or radits or something extremely weak, but yeah, it's they break really easy.
Yeah, we saw it at Daytona. I think that was arguably, we call it netcode, but that obviously wasn't netcode because they did make contact. But it definitely was something, because I don't think that should have destroyed a race car. I think maybe yes, a spin, but regardless, broke the race car. Is what it is. Can't obviously change it, but even that one, I mean, I kind of see that one a little bit more depending on how, like, the angle and stuff, but I don't know. You can see the damage on the side of the car, though.
Yeah, and it doesn't look as bad as I think it needs to be to really hurt him.
For how he looked after the contact, he lost a lot of ground to Mick and Nicky, and then obviously we saw Rossi started to close in. Seems like he's kind of starting to gap Rossi again and actually close back in on Mick and Nicky Lauda as they kind of start to battle again.
Battle. kind of that Nicky Lauda, like, listen, you're holding me in 6th. I'm not getting really great points. I'm getting like single-digit points. Kimmy's about to just beat my ass in the point standings.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, not Frosty! Oh, and it's gonna be another wheel made out of radits.
This was, I believe, with Darth Vader, as Vader has also towed after this one.
Let us see what happens with these paper mache wheels. Oh, there goes. Oh, and that looks just like Daytona all over again. And there goes Vader.
I don't know. I can hear. It almost looks like a flat tire on this one. Let's see if we can get somewhat of a better angle somewhere.
Oh, it's definitely the left front.
Yeah, left front.
It doesn't look as bad as some of them have. That one, certainly.
Yeah, there ain't no saving that one.
No. That one, it just doesn't look that bad. It doesn't look out of place.
It's bad enough, apparently.
Yeah.
All these wrecks, though, and our poor boy SpongeBob, still only running in 35th, has only passed one car so far.
Well, don't forget, he is a lap down already.
Well, he's 5 down, but yeah.
Okay, never mind. That's part of why.
Lando back up to 26th in his backup car, trying to limp that one home somewhat.
And I just want to point out that we're also closing in on the second round of pit stops again.
About halfway, yeah. This will be, they're on lap 5 now, sorry.
So, they made it to 11, so probably 5 more laps-ish.
Yeah, there should be about 6 or 7 to go, I think, whenever they pit again.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be an interesting little bit to the finish there, depending on whose pit crew does well. Certainly, if the Nightmare crew gets Kimmy out as well as they did the first time, I would say it's a lock for the Iceman. But
I know him and Tanner are running basically that, well, not that last time, but they were basically running identical lap times. So it was like a 1:55.95 and a 1:59.94. So this time, though, it was a 55.9 for Kimmy and a 56.1 for Tanner. And a 55.7 for McRae.
So that's not what Tanner wants to see.
No. I mean, arguably, though, we saw at the end of last run, maybe Kimmy pushed a little harder and kind of used his tires up, but I think there's, over the course of the run, even though, yes, they have I guess we'll call them the smaller fuel cells, you can still gain time back. And these guys were, I think, what I was saying, like 2-3 seconds behind the first run.
Something like that, yeah.
And they ran it down to under a second. So, I mean, plus, we'll see where Hans is at. Yeah, they're only a little bit up the road. So you're going to see lap traffic here. I would even argue in a couple laps, actually.
And we've certainly seen that just the slightest bit of contact can brakes and wheels here.
We'll keep an eye. It's 3.2 right now, but we've seen too, Daytona and even Sebring, depending on where the AI catch them, especially here, with the S's and stuff like that, you're gonna lose a lot of time because if you don't get them, say on the entry of a hard braking zone or something like that, like I said, you're gonna be stuck for a corner or two, and that's a lot of time, especially when you're clicking off 155s and the guys that you're gonna lap, being Danny Rick and Hans Landa, are clicking off 159 2-minute lap times.
Yeah, that's certainly not what you want to see closing in on you. Or you closing in on. As Lando Norris continues to try and fight his way to get as many points as he can. This is a man on a mission. He wants his skill or his attribute points that he can get here.
I would say he's had the worst. I guess technically it'd be a day because last night to today. So probably had the worst day out of anybody so far. Rolled it. I think the first roll we've seen, especially in this series, and
Ooh, he actually got loose there, I think.
went around early in the race, and he's been trying to gain it back ever since. But it's not looking good from here on out because even if he gets by Ramsey here, he's got, according to timing and scoring, a 10.4 second gap to Colin Braun. So.
Yeah, and this is kind of what you get deep in the pack. Certainly, there's a lot of gaps in skill ratings as you get further in the back. A lot of those gaps are kind of closed up and are fairly equal up at the front, because I'm not sure if that was a defense or a pass. I think that might have been a pass, wasn't it?
This was a defend.
So,
Chad's been running 10th for a good bit.
Okay. So he's trying to make the attempt on... is that Montoya?
Good old Juan, yep.
That's what I thought.
These guys are losing ground to the leader, but kind of gaining on Ix a little bit. As here's the battle we were talking about, lap traffic.
And you could see how it actually did play a factor. Tanner Faust is in third now.
And that closed Ix right up to these guys. And they lost a lot of time. Remember I said the gap was about 3 seconds, I think?
Mm-hmm.
5.3. The last scoring.
And that is what Kimmy wants to see, because if his pit crew makes a mistake, it's usually in the grounds of like 6 seconds or so. You know, like it seems like a mistake is like a 36-second pit stop. If everybody else is making like a 30-second pit stop, that means he's still going to likely get out right around the other guys, and he could maybe hold them off, maybe get around them again. So that leaves some room for error, essentially, when you have that big of a lead.
Yeah. A second and a half, actually. 156.6 for Kimmy and a 158.0 for Colin.
Wow. So that shows you that Kimmy had no problem with that lap traffic.
Just about, yeah. Definitely slowed him up. Not as bad, obviously, because you see Mick 56.4. So only really, I guess, about 0.2 or so. We talk about the damage with O'Connor. He actually clicked off the fastest lap the last time by at a 56.0.
Wow.
So he's kind of looking at it like, what damage? I ain't got no damage.
Exactly. He's saying, you guys need to shut it on that. And I don't think, well, proves me wrong. Mick does catch, and who would have guessed it? But SpongeBob SquarePants at a somewhat okay area.
This is where it gets interesting, though, because, you know, obviously it closed Nicky Lauda up to him, but I think Nicky had to check up when Mick went defensive, and that closes Brian O'Connor right up to him.
And Mick is going to go defensive again here into this corner, and he's going to be able to hold it. Certainly, you know, we see it a lot where the defensive works. And, I mean, can you blame it? You continue to hold that inside line, park the bus, as they somewhat say in Formula One. Just park it right on that corner exit, and you can't get around the guy that way.
So a couple updates real quick on some of the battles we were looking at, as we have pit stops a little early for a couple guys. Tanner Faust stays out, but we see Raikkonen, McRae, Ix, all on pit road, along with Nicky Lauda. So interesting. This is only 9 laps on this stint.
Well, they could certainly go to the end. Let's see how this is going to play out. Certainly, the key here is between the black, red, and white car of Kimi Raikkonen in the first pit stall and the yellow car about 6 pit stalls back.
Actually, it's a pretty decent mix. See a lot of guys towards the back coming in. So we have a very different top 10 now. As Michael Schumacher just went to 7th, George Russell
and
8th.
Kimi gets away beautifully. Perfect
31.9 to McRae 30.8, and Ix is 30.6.
So a slight mistake, because it wasn't that perfect pit stop that he had the first time. But
I believe that was Lauda that just left.
I believe it was. But
That's
that
Kimmy.
5-second gap. So he loses what? Maybe a second out of that? He's not
Yeah.
going to care.
Nicky Lauda 29.8. So Lauda kind of making up a little bit. But that
now
actually
the question,
surprised me because, you know, that, I mean, granted, it was only, I guess, to be 2 laps early, but, you
it's
know,
still 2 laps early. We haven't seen that of the GT4s.
yeah. I mean, right now it's worked out because as you can see, Jan about 2 seconds up the road, so not really going to get held up as of right now. You see Faust coming in, so we'll have to watch Mick here and see what he does. Because obviously, with the mixed pit stops, the big thing is obviously your pit crew, but if you come out with clean track, as it looks like Mick's going to come in, O'Connor going to stay out this time.
Interesting.
Rossi's going to come in. Next would be Hunt and Reed.
And they're both going to hit pit road. And what's to note here, unlike on the oval side, O'Connor is not getting a point for staying out.
Correct.
So that's a strategy call, and it's the first time in this series we have seen said strategy calls.
So we'll have to keep an eye on old Kimi Räikkönen. So he's on the front stretch. So I think he'll easily overtake these guys.
Yeah, the question here is going to be Tanner Faust, that black and yellow car there.
So
as he's leaving now.
Kimi just
and
went
where's
by.
Kimi? Kimi's by already. All right.
Yep. So Mick, terrible pit stop. Actually, it was the best of the day, according to the timing and scoring.
It just seemed bad because he was out behind
Holy
Tanner Faust.
Smokes! Little late, boys, but look at that pit stop time.
Holy cow. Well, I would say you might see something similar out of O'Connor.
That was actually insane.
Because there's going to be less to have to fill the car with.
That's actually a good point. I didn't think about that. But yeah. But that's arguably the best pit stop I think we've seen all year. A sub 27 or 28.
Absolutely. It doesn't look like it's going to help them much. Certainly those guys that got the 1 lap advantage seem to really have benefited from it. Although Tanner, he benefited from that. He got out in front of Colin. And Jackie Ickx is certainly a lot closer than he was. So, as Lewis hasn't pitted yet.
As Lando's in.
As is O'Connor.
Has Lando completed his? Yes. Okay. So O'Connor's in. So next would be George Russell, and then there was Kimi. So obviously, definitely going to take the lead back. So the question is, does Russell pit here? Which I would assume he has to, lap 11. Yes, he does.
And what I want to then follow along too with is, where does O'Connor slot in comparison to Mick Schumacher?
Because he was behind him, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Because it was what, Mick, Lauda, and then O'Connor?
Correct.
So they're both coming off the final corner. So they didn't really lose.
And you can see
time.
that there's now a gap between Mick.
It's going to be
close,
and
you can see though that there's a gap between Mick and Lauda now that is forming. So it looks like Mick's definitely going to beat O'Connor out, but O'Connor jumps Lauda.
Yeah, 29.8 for Lauda, 28.9 for O'Connor is the difference.
That's enough.
Yeah,
but with 6 laps to go, and that gap is only going to get bigger as these two continue to battle. And look at what it's done. Look who's there now.
Yeah.
Jackie Ickx is back.
Yeah, Mick's kind of in his own as, wow, Lauda wasting no time.
Almost moving Brian O'Connor completely out of the way.
So I believe that would be Danny Rick up here? Yeah. If you're Mick, this is what you want to see.
Word. Yeah, this is definitely what you want to see.
So the next guy would be Oscar.
And there's just about 5 laps to go.
Actually, Mick's still 7.5 back according to timing and scoring. So that's pretty much arguably going to seal the race, obviously, unless something bizarre happens. But Kimi 7.6 in the lead. I would say your battle is going to be for the podium between Faust, McRae, and Ix. Mick, obviously maybe get caught by Lauda and O'Connor, but we'll have to wait and see. Then your battle will be actually for the final points paying position between Hunt, Reed, and Voldemort.
And interesting to see both Hunt and Voldemort up there. They haven't really, I don't think we've talked about them all day, but here they are. When it matters most, they decided to show up and say, look at me. I'm still here. I want points.
Yeah. I mean, every point matters. I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, yeah, it might only be one, it might only be two, or maybe if you can somehow snag the fast lap from one of these top guys, but every point matters because, 1 point here, maybe 2 next week, or, whatever. If you can, work on, obviously your owner, but if you work on your ratings and, you're competing for a win come later in the season, that 25 points plus, say, 10 is obviously way better than getting that win and having no points prior.
Well, and the interesting thing to note here, so if Mick does finish in 5th, and Niki Lauda finishes 6th, rather than Mick only gaining a point on Niki Lauda and being 4 points behind, he'll only be 3 points because 5th is worth 10 and a 6th is only worth 8. So it's a bit difference in the way that the points work here. Certainly, the huge thing to note there is, like you said, there's going to be a change in 3rd, and it's most likely going to be Mick Schumacher, because with Ayrton Senna out of the race early, he gets no points, so he'll stay at 23rd. But like I said, 8 points for Niki Lauda, so he's got 27, so he's just only going to have 35. If my math is correct.
I believe so, yeah.
And Mick gets 10, so he'll have 32. Yeah. And Kimi Räikkönen gets all the way up to 51. If everything holds for the next 4 laps.
Which, like I said, unless, which obviously lap traffic, always plays a factor. This will be, it actually's got 2 coming up right here. And then that should be about it looks like. But,
yeah.
It's like I said, though. He could catch one of these guys the wrong way. And granted, he stretched the gap out to 8 seconds as he's running 55.3s. Actually, Tanner Faust clicked off his best lap of the race at a 3.92. But, I think a lap ago, they were all battling, and Tanner was like a 158 or something.
Yeah, so
actually, we talked about it here. Mick's getting caught for 5th.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, but to just think that Kimi Räikkönen could be out by like 16-point lead after just the 3rd race of the season. Like I said, after Sebring, and it's continuing to look like that. Him getting his 100 overall might be the scariest thing the field could have seen.
With ease, gets around Galderson right there. Next up will be Kevin Roy.
I mean, this has been nothing short of a dominant performance.
I think he's left from the drop of the green, no?
Yeah, I believe the only time anybody else has led is when they've stayed out under pit stops.
So here's what I had mentioned, though, as far as catching people at the right time. As looking at time scoring, O'Connor's got around McRae. McRae is towed.
Oh my word! So that's going to throw a wrench in the works of the point standings for a few guys.
So that
as Kimi gets by perfectly going up the S's.
So that'll move Mick to 4th.
And what?
Lapper.
And it's a lapper with some paper mache wheels.
Broke the right front, I bet.
Absolutely. So if that moves Mick to 4th,
which as of right now it does.
All of a sudden, Mick gets 12 points. So he's still in the same boat. It's still only going to be a 2-point difference. But we've seen what can happen with some lap cars, and certainly it's not to say that it couldn't happen to Niki Lauda or even Mick. I don't think it's going to happen to Kimi at this point because I don't think there's anybody near him, but certainly Mick and Niki Lauda are going to have to deal with lap traffic.
Well, we know Kimi just got around Oscar and Kevin, so they're entering the bottom of the S's.
That
I thought
seems
I
old.
I didn't.
I was to say that seemed old.
So they're actually battling, but where is? So yeah, they're gonna catch them. Mick might, but there's a lapper right there as well.
Yeah, I was to say there were a couple of lappers behind Kimi before he got to those guys.
So Mick and them will catch Mike.
And that right there is who took Colin McRae out.
And Tanner and Ix will catch Kevin and Oscar.
Most likely, it does seem, yeah.
So
but this is an interesting
one
here.
But this is
because we know, we watched it happen. This is the car that had the incident with Colin McRae, and I think you could actually see a tire mark on the doors. James Hunt kind of pulled away from Voldemort.
This battle kind of seems like it's kind of fizzled out a little bit, but I don't know which battle we kind of want to watch first here and make sure these two can get through, or Mick. I think Mick's going to end up catching.
Well, and what's going to be also interesting, you see behind Mick back there with Lauda, O'Connor's closing on Lauda. And certainly what Lauda doesn't want to see is O'Connor get around him, and now all of a sudden, instead of having a 3-point lead over Mick Schumacher, that leads only a point in that scenario.
Remember, I said it though, catch him in the right spots. Mick caught him in the absolute worst spot.
And it's still not in a good spot going through the carousel.
He's got to get him here. And I don't think he's close enough unless he gets aggressive.
And we know what happens when you get aggressive.
So does O'Connor.
Sometimes as O'Connor is able to get around Niki Lauda, he uses the lap car perfectly, and Niki Lauda has got to be extremely frustrated in that car.
So here we go. As we're going to be coming to the white flag, is Kimi. Okay, he's actually losing ground a little bit. It's only 6 seconds.
But certainly not enough time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But, Kimi's going to come take the white flag, and this will be the next, I guess you could say,
interesting moment.
Yeah. This, like you said, this could be, and especially now with Lauda having O'Connor in between himself and Mick, obviously I believe that we said that would be for what, second in points? Kimi clearly going to be your point leader.
It would be for third, I believe. But
okay.
it's with O'Connor being second in point, or in between them, it makes the difference because Niki Lauda is currently your point leader. But it would make the difference go from a 5-point difference, as it currently stands, to a 1-point difference.
So they clicked off half a second there. Faust at 55.7, Ix at 55.9, Kimi Räikkönen at 56.1, as O'Connor makes the pass on Mick.
So that's not what Mick wanted to see. Mick wanted to get through there cleanly and hold that position, because now we're back into that same boat where, this is only a 2-point gap. Now, let's see how aggressive Mick gets going into the bus stop.
Follows him in.
And it's not as aggressive as you might think it would be there.
I don't know what to watch here. These guys try and get past the lappers, or?
Well, I think these guys are kind of settled out. That's certainly a bigger battle, I think. As we're going to see Lauda look to the inside of Mick Schumacher. So now, instead of in the scenario that it just was, where it was going to be Mick Schumacher's going to gain 4 points on Niki Lauda, he's still going to inherit third in the point standings. But now he's looking like he's going to lose 2 points, and if Lauda can get around O'Connor, he loses 4 points.
it ain't over. He's still got 3 corners to negotiate. And we saw it at Daytona. Sometimes one of the easier corners can cause issues.
Absolutely, and it's gonna be interesting. Kimi Räikkönen, your winner here today once again. But we stick with this battle because this is just an incredible run to the finish here between O'Connor, Lauda, and Schumacher. And it looks like they're all going to get home safe, sound, easy. It's going to be O'Connor in 4th, Lauda in 5th, and Mick Schumacher comes home 6th. Certainly not the result he was hoping for.
And Verstappen
just one
DNF
lap
on
prior.
The last lap.
Oh no. Somebody got aggressive right at the end. This is what I thought we might see with Mick and O'Connor, and we didn't. And
broke that left rear
wheel.
Actually, it was Kevin Magnussen.
Oh, K-Max. Well, he is aggressive. He's definitely, I think, one of the more aggressive drivers in the series. Just sends it up, and well,
You can run out of room.
I think that's just about maybe. Certainly, he sent it up the inside, but certainly Max just kind of drives through there like K-Mags isn't going to be even remotely possibly in. And he could see him the whole way. I don't know. It seems like Max didn't give any room. Certainly, K-Mags takes a weird line through there, but you know, there was no room given on the possibility of it.
Yeah, it was take a look one more time before we go over your final results, but yeah, I guess he thought K-Mag would have given him, you know, the spot, being I guess he went in the grass and kind of overshot the entry, but that was
well, I don't think K-Mags ever actually leaves the racing surface other than to go over the rumble strips.
Well, Max, lucky enough, it was, I mean, still no points. Lucky enough, it was the last lap. He only falls to 25th because Kevin Roy was the first car 1 lap down. But so we will pop that off. It's actually Colin McRae, because of where he wrecked and because of SpongeBob's damage, only got up to 31st. We will go over your final race results.
And for the second time in as many races, your winner, the Iceman, Kimi Räikkönen. Absolute dominating performance. Certainly class of the field here today. Tanner Faust comes home 2nd. In 3rd place, we see Jackie Hicks. In 4th place, Brian O'Connor. In 5th place, Niki Lauda. 6th place, and probably the most heartbreaking moment of the race as we come to the finish, was Mick Schumacher. 7th is Alexander Rossi. 8th is Juan Pablo Montoya. 9th, we see Chad Reed. And 10th, James the Shunt Hunt. Yeah.
And unofficially, too, I will say I believe Kimi also secured fastest lap point as well.
Good Lord.
Which would have been towards the end, because I know for a while I believe it was McRae. But
well, I think you had said that there was a lap there towards the end where he ran a 55.3, and I think that was the lap. So
yeah, a couple guys threw down 3s there after that final pit stop, but Lord Voldemort 11th, Takami Fujiwara 12th, Scott Dixon 13th, Michael Schumacher 14th, George Russell 15th. Kind of giving it to old Lewis Hamilton. I know there was a little controversy in the F1 world about, hey, maybe old Georgie deserves a ride, and he kind of gave it to old Lewis here today. But old Fernando 16th, Jan Magnussen 17th, Ken Block 18th, Nick Boulay 19th, and Lewis Hamilton, just talked about him, in 20th.
And 21st sees Kevin Magnussen bring home. 22nd is Colin Braun. 23rd, Lando Norris. 24th, Ramsey Bolton. 25th sees the last of our lead lap finishers, and just barely. I don't even know we qualify him as finisher, but it's Max Verstappen. 26th, Kevin Roy, first car 1 lap down. 27th, Oscar Golderson. 28th, Mike Rutsch. 29th, Hans Landa. 30th, Danny Rick.
31st, SpongeBob SquarePants, which we were amazed he got that car back to pit road. Normally we just see a tow, but 32nd, Colin McRae. Second car actually with the DNF. 33rd, Darth Vader. 34th, you call him Frosty, Mark Winterbottom. 35th, Ayrton Senna. Heartbreak for him. I believe he said third in points coming in. I'm sure he will drop well outside the top 5. And round out the field, your first DNF of the day, Dario Franchitti.
Oof. So if Kimi came away with fastest point, that's top or max points. That's certainly the best day you could possibly have, and is worth 26 points, much like it was a week ago or a race ago correction, he did not score max points at Sebring. He got 25 points there, but he's got 26 points, so another 26 points. The man's looking at 52 points.
Which it's still early, obviously.
Yeah.
But, and I'm not knocking Kimi. Obviously, I think now that he has his 100, I agree. It's dangerous, but I would argue too. It's anybody's game. I mean, you look at Harvick. All preseason, I would argue he was the odds-on favorite to win the title. He went out one Daytona. I don't know. I said it a bunch after that race. I think you even kind of started to go that way as well. It's like, this field's in trouble. The one guy you didn't want to win early just won probably the most open race for anybody to win. This is going to be trouble. And I don't think he may have led a lap, but I don't think he's led more than 5 laps in a race since.
Well, I think you said it during the Homestead race in the Cup Series that we had brought up, when we see the first repeat winner. And we kind of said, well, we don't know when we're going to see it on an oval, but I think we were all kind of in agreement. We might see it at the next GT4 race. And, we have. Kimi Räikkönen is our first repeat winner in the NORA Sim Series in any of the 4 series that we run. So it's awesome to see a repeat winner, certainly. But, it's like you said, it's still anybody's game. It's really early in the season, but it's also our shortest season out of all of them.
Yeah, which again, it's up for, I guess we'll say, change. Obviously put the schedules out, but again, with this update coming up, if they put out more road tracks, maybe, an expanded schedule, because obviously, it'd be easier on us, but at the same time too, we also want to quote unquote keep guys in form and have them on the track and, mix it up a little bit. Change, instead of doing all ovals, throw in a road course race here and there, but not even just, we're talking about 2-time winners, or repeat winners, I should say. BMW as a whole, right now 3 for 3 in the GT4 series.
Yeah. It's certainly BMW and Chevy in just 2 series, specifically this series and the Cup Series. It's kind of been a little bit more Ford-ish in the Xfinity Series for a moment. Certainly they got that win, Chevy got that win at Homestead, so that's certainly made a difference there. But yeah, it's been utter domination for these BMWs. That's the word I was looking for. BMWs.
That's not what I wanted to. But no, I agree. I think it'll be interesting, because I believe next race is Interlagos, which, like I said, we had mentioned, typically more, I guess, not necessarily a big track, but a Porsche. track from what we've seen. Whether it be again the configuration, more braking, acceleration, stuff like that, to where the Glen, Sebring, Daytona, more long-ish straightaways, more about top speed as opposed to acceleration. We'll see obviously what happens, but it's going to be interesting. I mean, I will point out, depending on how the progression goes for this week, we will be maybe not taking drivers out, but adding more drivers, just to kind of get more active owners for say, and drivers that are actually being affected and changed. Just to again kind of keep it changing and moving, and all that whole concept for say. Just because obviously we do want to see new guys towards the front, and we want active owners. So
yeah.
I know, for instance, I'm not going to call anybody out, but there is one team that I don't think has been upgraded since the start in this series. And obviously, like I said, we want guys to get better, quote unquote. We want guys to improve. We want racing, obviously, to be good to watch, good, to broadcast, stuff like that. So, yeah. So either way, I'm pretty sure we'll have more guys next race. But yeah, I good race. Can't really complain. I think you were kind of making fun of the parts these teams are putting in cars. Just seem a little fragile. I think they're all trying to save weight and get some speed to keep up with Kimmy. But as you can tell, sometimes light isn't always the best.
Nope. Certainly, those were some very weak axles. Those things broke just so easy. So easy. Like I said, they were so weak, they had to be made out of either paper mache or rags. And if anybody actually gets that, you're awesome. So, but I don't think there's much else to cover here for the GT4s. We will, of course, be out, I believe, tomorrow. Possibly.
That was the original plan, I believe. Yes.
Okay, so we'll have an update if something changes, but as of right now, the plan is tomorrow for Kentucky in the truck race. And boy, is that going to be awesome. We got all the banners updated. Everything is good and ready to go for that series. And yeah, we're going to have a fun time at Kentucky.
Well, that too, but I think also, which I get, obviously, we can change, but I had at least planned on potentially another doubleheader. I know last time we had the rain shortened race, but
Oh, I'm all for that.
So more than likely a doubleheader tomorrow again. Obviously being trucks and Xfinity, but
based on start times, I think it would have to be Xfinity first, then trucks. Makes sense.
Based off real life, you mean?
Well, yeah, based off of time of day, usual start times. Xfinity would. I think Xfinity is scheduled to run during the day at Las Vegas, which we're technically calling Kentucky, and the trucks are a night race.
We can figure that out.
We'll look into it. Yeah, we'll look into it and make sure of what we're speaking.
But so before we close it out here, you're the truck guy. You've been doing all the truck tests. Obviously, getting them in the garage to get their banners set and all that nonsense. So, I mean, what have you seen so far, and kind of what are you expecting, and who maybe to either punch their ticket to the playoffs or maybe grab more playoff points tomorrow?
Well, certainly what I've seen so far has been fairly consistent with what we expect. The guys that we expect to run up front tend to be up front. Dale Earnhardt Sr., Chase Elliott, Cole Trickle, Rowdy Burns, so on and so on. Those guys are up front. I think Rowdy stands a really great chance of winning next week or tomorrow. I think Cole's up there pretty much every practice I've done, Senior as well. But what has surprised me the most has been the nightmare trucks. And I get it sounds biased that it's my team. But knowing that my team, in comparison, every single one of them is way lower skill rating than the guys that they've been running around. And here's 3 trucks that probably serve no reason to be in the top 10, running in the top 5 every practice I've done. Now, obviously, we can get into tomorrow and it'd be completely different because certainly we saw the same thing happen at Homestead where we did a practice race and Danica was in the top 10 in the Xfinity Series. And when we did the official race, she couldn't make it past 20th. So who knows what's going to happen, but certainly what has surprised me the most, and we'll keep an eye on, is certainly the Nightmare trucks probably outperforming what their expectations are.
And something to kind of touch on too, we've added, I think, yes, Cup as well, which you saw the first, I guess you can say, entry for that team, the Outlaw Racing Incorporated team, I believe it was Ty Dillon. They have, looking at entry here, 3 guys going tomorrow, being Zane Smith, Cole Custer, and Stuart Friesen. And then,
I believe they added 2 or 3 in the Xfinity.
Yeah, so, but like I said, more so just truck for right now. But we will also have Go or Go Home tomorrow, once again. Because I believe
this
we
time
did for Sebring as well.
Yes, but this time with 4 extra trucks making it versus Sebring.
Yeah, so, that's interesting too, because again, I believe it was Rico who won Daytona.
Who probably shouldn't have been sent home from Sebring. But we did it because we didn't know what the actual truck
Correct.
count would be, and it turns out it was 36. We thought it was 32, so we only had 36 trucks signed up. So we kind of sent 4 trucks home that weren't supposed to go home. We shouldn't technically have had Go or Go Home qualifying at that event. So I want to say we want to apologize to the owners for that one. But that mistake has been rectified. We will have the correct amount of trucks going forward. And yeah, we're still going to have Go or Go Home qualifying. So sadly, to the owners of those drivers, they might still go home at Kentucky.
Yeah, we'll have to figure something out to kind of make up for that one, because obviously you don't make the race, you don't get the points as far as attributes. So,
and there's the problem I see there is there's no guarantee that they would have got points in the first place. Although there was a lot of wrecked trucks in the truck race.
Yeah.
So
I mean we want to be fair too, though, because like to that point, could they have gotten points? Maybe not. But we also want to be fair, because like you just said too, there was a lot of wrecks. So they could have missed it, gotten a decent finish, whatever. But no. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll figure something out, obviously, as we go off the air here. But even like you said, Xfinity, even besides the Outlaw Racing Inc. guys, we added RCR. We got 2311 Racing, again, Outlaw Racing Incorporated. I believe even SW Racing would be a new team there as well. So you got Kurt Busch, Darren Pittman, Denny Hamlin, Bubba Wallace, Austin Dillon, Tyler Reddick, Alfredo, Suarez, Moffitt, Chastain, and then I believe Shane Weinmiller would be the last new driver, which would give us a 35-car field.
And the largest we've seen in Xfinity yet by 11 cars.
Correct.
So that's a huge change. And to add in, those guys that were added are not slouches either.
Correct.
Certainly we see a bunch of guys that, run at the back constantly or don't make the race because their skill rating is pretty low. These new guys, they're all, guys that could contend for a win. I personally, I would not be surprised to see immediately out on the track Kurt Busch up contending for a win in that gear wrench Chevy.
I mean, anything can happen, though. Like we said, I mean, I've been out there when the Cup guys at the track for practice, and I've seen some things that I haven't seen all year. And I think you kind of went on the same boat as the truck guys. They're doing things we haven't seen. So I would argue anybody has a shot come these next few days.
Absolutely. And certainly, we've seen in some of the practices wrecks up in the front that take guys out that would probably win the race, possibly. So these are all things that we'll keep an eye on because they're big deals.
But I think that's about it here from
Old Watkins Glen.
an apparent sunny and warm Watkins Glen, according to iRacing. But yeah, I think
A
that's about it.
probably cold and snowy Watkins Glen in real life.
Yeah, I think we need to get on the old private jet that I bought us here for NORA and head to old Kentucky and get ready for some action there.
Absolutely. I know I'm ready for it.
Well, actually, first, I guess we got to go to
Daytona?
Daytona.
Yeah. The two of us do.
Getting ahead of ourselves with that one, but yeah, we
all
gotta.
these guys are headed to Kentucky. Well, not these guys. All the NASCAR guys.
These guys are going overseas, I believe, aren't they?
Well, not really. Yes and no. They're just going to South America.
Ah, okay. Well,
Interlagos is Rio. Or not Rio,
they're starting
Sao
their
Paulo.
journey.
Correct. Oh, they'll be hitting overseas. I think the 5th race is Mola in Italy. So.
Yeah, they'll be getting there. But yeah, we actually got to get on that old plane and head down to Daytona in a couple hours. I know we got round 2 of the Truck Series. I know you yourself are looking to rebound. I know you're a road ringer yourself. You're looking to capitalize. I know you got this one circled, and I'm sure obviously the Glen and Coda as well. So.
Oh yeah.
I know 2 different plans of attack tonight. Myself finished 5th. I think I'm 5th or 6th in points, and you, like I said, you had some misfortune and you're trying to rebound. So.
Yep. So we'll see how it works out for both of us tonight. But certainly keep tuned to the NORA broadcast booth, I believe, for that race tonight. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we should have, as far as I know, we'll have BP in the booth again. Maybe Zach again as well, because I know Ray is actually racing tonight for another owner. I'm not sure if you heard. I know it was put in Discord. We actually lost one of our drivers, Brian Niels, with his fight to cancer. Unfortunately, Brian ran a lot of our dirt stuff, was a big supporter of us, always ran when he could. So I know we will be hopefully planning something for him either during the race or we'll have a special race or something for him. Because like I said, Brian was a big supporter of NORA. Like I said, whenever he could run, he was there. And like I said, he's been fighting this for, as far as I know at least, probably about a year and a half. Because I know last year he would run and then would miss a good bit of time doing, I think it was some treatments and stuff. But yeah, unfortunately, I believe it was yesterday he lost his fight. So I know Ray is filling in that truck for Corey Danielson, the owner of that team, and we'll do something probably end of practice or maybe the pace lap or something, and kind of give Brian a little recognition. I'll let Brian know, Powell know. Because like I said, as far as I know, he's supposed to do the broadcast tonight. Like I said, I don't know if Zach's going to be there or not, but yeah, we'll have something for Niels at some point, I'm sure. Hopefully do like a moment of silence or something, or something like that. We'll figure something out. But yeah, so tough times, but we'll push through, and we'll keep obviously Brian's family's in our thoughts and be strong for them, and hopefully put on a good show for Brian and obviously everybody else. But yeah, like Nick said, we should be live on this YouTube again later for round 2 of our, I guess for lack of better words, call it the actual truck series from Daytona Road Course. Like I said, should be Brian and Zach in the booth again, I believe. And then we will be back tomorrow, probably noonish, afternoonish, for the trucks or Xfinity. We'll figure that one out. And then later that night, again, we'll finish the doubleheader with whatever we don't run first.
Yep.
And then, then I guess it'll be Wednesday. We'll finish out Kentucky with the Cup Series, and then I believe trucks are off again, if I'm not mistaken.
Let me double check our schedule for the truck series. No, they will not be off that week. We go to Atlanta finally. Oh no, they are off that week. I apologize. I'm high.
Hmm.
No, I'm completely confused as to how I have done the schedule
Well,
because there's a Phoenix race, and I'm going to have to discuss this. I think I know what's going to have to happen. Okay, I figured it out. We're good.
well, yeah, we'll get it figured out. But well, I don't know. I got a message from Brian. He might not be in the booth tonight, so we'll get that one figured out. But I might have a plan in place that I haven't really brought up to the admins yet, but might be able to have it broadcasted still. We'll see. But we will definitely be live tomorrow for the truck and Xfinity race. Hopefully tonight we'll figure something out. I'm sure, but from I'll just say snowy because it's probably supposed to be snowy, but
It
sunny
probably is.
Watkins Glen, according to iRacing. This was round 3 of the GT4 Sim Series. Kimi Räikkönen once again victorious, and like I said, unofficially fastest lap as well. And your new point leader heading to Interlagos for round 4. Tanner Faust, Jackie Ix round out your podium. I am Josh Conover.